Welcome back to Arizona Real Estate Matters, brought to you by Empire West Title. We've been talking a lot of data today with Randy Roach with Arizona Online Realty, and the next graph that I have in front of me here that I want to talk about, and this is where, recently, Josh, and I know you work with a lot of agents, and I know you've heard this from a lot of your agents, is that a certain price range is right now garnering multiple offers.
Lightning hot.
And, I'm sure, that a lot of your agents from January up until about, just a few weeks ago would tell you that, if it's under $200,000,
it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Multiple offers. You better have a shiny buyer, and we talked a little bit last week about having, if you are an agent, having your buyer presented themselves the best. Are they doing an all cash deal? Are they asking for closing cost prepays? Because those deals, you got to really present the best buyer. There's multiple offers these sellers are looking at, and they're going to go with the most attractive one. And those anything under 250,000 is just moving lightning fast.
I talked to an agent the other day that had a listing, and we have it, the escrow in my office. But we were talking about this particular property, and I think it listed at like 189. Very affordable price out in the West Valley, out in Palm Valley, and basically the offer that we have in escrow right now was $500 higher than the one before. I mean, it's gotten down to the point where, it's, if you can just give me that extra, what is it? If you're a buyer right now and you're in one of the zip codes we're going to talk about here in this segment, you might want to think about positioning yourself. And I know the guest that we had on the show last week, I think it was Tina Crook, mentioned this. It's all about, positioning your offer, not just, like, well, we're going to offer them full price, but then we're going to ask for the world. Well, if you're in one of these zip codes, or, you're in that price point where we're seeing multiple offers, you might think again about,
asking for closing costs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this one right here asked for $500 less in closing costs. The escrow that we have open, compared to the one that got turned down, it was just that $500 difference was enough.
It's almost like the Price is Right in the beginning, where the one will bid 200 and the other one bids 201. I mean, literally, it's
$1 more.
Yeah, $1 more, and that usually, obviously, that's just an analogy, but that's kind of where we're starting to feel like it's going.
Well, we are, and the price points that we're talking about is under $200,000 for the most part. That's the rule of thumb. But what are those zip codes? And these are the zip codes, according to the Crawford report, the zip codes showing the strongest increase in demand versus supply. So if you have the high, it's the old adage, the basic economic rule of thumb, supply and demand. If your supply is high and your demand is low, your prices are going to drop. If your demand is high and your supply is low, prices are going to rise. Now, the one thing about the real estate market is that we saw that during the boom and the crash, where prices just went crazy. We're seeing price increases, and the appreciation rate is very healthy right now, but we're not seeing inflated prices because the industry is kind of basically got that under control.
Yeah, and it's a little safer price increasing. Yeah,
exactly.
It's more comfortable.
Exactly. So instead of offering somebody more money, now it's like, well, okay, how do we take care of it internally? And that's where the asking for the closing costs come in. So those zip codes, and there's quite a few of them. Out in the East Valley, it's A5203 and A5204, which is the Mesa Gilbert area. You've got the West Chandler area of 85283. You got South Tempe and the Ahwatukee area of 85040. But I'll be honest with you, and there's so many of them here. I'll throw out some other zip codes. So if you find yourself in one of these zip codes, this is where you're going to get most bang for your buck as far as your properties are concerned. But basically, west of I-17, almost every zip code, with the exception of a few, are in that hotspot. Yeah. According to the Crawford report for March of 2015, this is where the increase in demand versus supply is much higher, and that's Estrella Mountain Ranch of A5323, There's the Avondale area, A5353. You've got Surprise of A5335, A5307, A5033, A5035. I mean, the whole Southwest Valley, as well as even the Peoria and Glendale areas of A5302, A5304, and A5306, as well as some others. There's so many of them here we can't even mention.
Yeah.
But this is, according to the Crawford report, the hot spots where you're going to see the multiple offers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're a homeowner in one of these hotspots, now is the time to act, because this, is fleeting.
Yeah.
As the market starts to cool a little bit this summer, you might find this go the other direction. Randy, have you seen this with, your buyers, where you maybe have put an offer out there and now all of a sudden you're in competition with a bunch of others?
Well, actually, I just had a listing in Chandler I sold last week. It's in the 85226 101 in Ray area, just north of the mall, the Fashion Square Mall, Chandler Fashion Square Mall. Had it listed for about 3 days, had 4 or 5 offers on it.
Yeah. So your experience as well. We're going to be talking about more of this when we come back from the break. We'll be back after this.